There's a moment where the impact lands in the body before it ever becomes a thought. You feel it in your chest first, not heartbreak, not the kind that comes from loss. This is different. It feels like something is pressing outward from the inside, steady, insistent. Like what you know is no longer willing to stay buried just to keep things the same. And once that pressure starts, it doesn't go back down. You can still stand there. You can still listen. You can still be in the conversation. But something has already shifted. What used to pass through you doesn't anymore. It hits and it stays. There's a kind of pain that comes from something ending. And then there's this. The kind that comes from realizing you're not going to be able to hold everything together the way you used to. Nothing has changed on the outside yet, but inside, the heart has already opened and it's not closing again. It doesn't arrive as clarity. It arrives as a break in how things used to land. You're listening, but something in you doesn't follow the same path anymore. Words come in, and instead of passing through, they stop. You feel them. You notice what's underneath them, and that's new. You try to stay where you were, you really do. You respond the way you always have. You reach for the same tone, the same rhythm, the same way of keeping things connected. But something in you hesitates. Not because you don't care, because you see it now. And seeing it changes how your body moves in it. There's a quiet split that happens. You're still present, still engaged, still in the conversation. But at the same time, you're aware of everything that isn't being said. The patterns, the repetition, the places where things don't meet, and you can't unsee it. That's where the distance begins. Not because anyone left, because you're no longer able to stay in it the same way. There's no clear moment you can point to, just a growing awareness that you're not going to be able to keep participating the way you used to. It doesn't move the way you expect it to. You think once you see it, something will shift, a decision, a break, an ending. But nothing ends. Everything keeps going. The same conversations, the same patterns, the same people showing up exactly as they always have. And you're still there too, only now you can feel the difference in your body. You're not in it the same way anymore. Time starts to stretch, not forward, outward, like you're living in the space between what you now know and what hasn't changed yet. You feel it in the pause before you respond, in the moment you choose silence instead of filling the space, in the way something in you holds back, not to control it, but because it can't move the same way it used to. Nothing is resolving, and that's what creates the pressure. You can't force it forward. You can't make it end just because you're ready. So you stay, not because you want to, because there isn't another place to stand yet. And somewhere in that stretch, it becomes clear you're not waiting for things to go back. You're living in the time it takes for what has already changed in you to show up in the life around you. You try to find a way to keep both, the truth and the connection. At first, it feels possible. You think if you say it carefully enough, soften it enough, wait for the right moment, maybe it won't cost what it feels like it's going to cost. So you move around it. You adjust your words. You leave parts out. You approach it from the side instead of walking straight into it, not to hide, to preserve something. You go over it again and again, different ways of saying it, different ways of holding it, different ways of trying to keep both sides alive. But every path leads you back to the same place. There isn't a version of this where everything stays intact. That's when it becomes clear. You're not trying to solve it anymore. You're trying to avoid what you already know. And the center of it isn't a solution. It's a choice. One you've already made in your body before you ever say it out loud. This is where it stops being a thought. You don't decide this. You feel it. Something in your body won't move the same way anymore. What you used to say without thinking catches. What you used to tolerate tightens. Not as a reaction, as a refusal. You try to override it. You tell yourself it's not that serious, that you can just move through it, that you've done this before. But your body doesn't follow. It holds. You feel it in your chest when something doesn't land, in your throat when words won't come out the same way, in your stomach when you try to step back into something you've already outgrown. There's a point where you realize you're not choosing this. You're no longer able to go against it. There isn't a moment where everything falls apart. It's quieter than that. Something just stops working. The way you used to adjust, the way you used to keep things moving, the way you could stay even when it didn't feel right. It doesn't respond anymore. You try at first. You reach for the same way of being, the same tone, the same effort, the same willingness to hold it together, and nothing engages. Not because you don't want it to, because something in you won't turn that way anymore. That's when it becomes clear. This isn't about figuring it out. It isn't about finding the right way to say it or the right way to fix it. Something has already ended. Not the relationship, not the conversation, the part of you that could stay in it like that. And once that part is gone, there's nothing to go back to. The signal continues. If this transmission resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe here and continue the journey with the next video. You can also follow the work on Substack at tendingtheinbetween.substack.com.